What's up?
Oh, I'm just compiling all the top sports scores, news, and odds so I can make the very best bets.
Me too. BetOnline.ag.
Join today and receive your 50% welcome bonus at betonline.ag.
Hello and welcome to tonight's CLNS Media Patriots Roundtable. I'm your host, Nick Qualia, sitting here, like usual, with Mike Molyneux, with Marv Azan. Guys, July 10th is when we're recording this show. Still a little over a month away, I think, or maybe less than a month away from training camp.
Yeah, we've got a couple weeks now.
Yeah, a couple weeks. It just doesn't seem real, but a couple weeks now from training camp. So that also means a couple weeks now from some fantasy football drafts, baby. Let's go. One of the best things about football season, fantasy football. It makes everybody mad. It makes certain people on this show very upset, very angry, especially when you bring up the past. But that's not what we're going to do here. We're going to look at the Patriots roster, and we're going to talk about two guys that you would want to draft on your fantasy football team this year, and one guy that you're going to stay very far away from, one guy that you're not going to draft, or one guy that you just don't think is worth the wasting the draft pick on. So let's start it off with just the two guys that you would draft. Let's ignore the one guy that you wouldn't draft for right now. So Marv, who are the two guys that you would pick up?
See, I gotta be really careful with answering this question because I'm in a draft. I'm in a league with Mike, and I was in a league with you, Nick, as well last year, and possibly with this year. So I don't want to give up too much information because you guys are my rivals right now.
I'm picking up whoever you say.
So I might just throw out some diversion. This might not be even real.
Let's see what you got, man.
The two picks, definitely James White and Julian Edelman.
I thought you were going to say James Devlin.
James Devlin might be the third one. But James White and Julian Edelman, those are going to be the target monsters for Brady. You know, we know what Edelman is going to do. Now we're talking about Edelman in a full season. When's the last time we've said that Edelman's going to play a full season with the New England Patriots? Knock on wood, obviously. Coming off the Super Bowl MVP, he's a guy who could probably get maybe 100 receptions this year. Are we expecting N'Keal Harry to take that many receptions away or try to match Gronk's receptions? I don't think so. There's still question marks with Demaryius Thomas. So we already know Julian Edelman is going to be the guy. And in the backfield, we saw what James White did last year. And there's no reason why his role changes whatsoever. He's a solidified third down back. Brady gets to him quick, and he picks up yards and gets touchdowns as well. So those are the two guys I'm going for. If you're looking for fantasy, especially in PPR leagues, they will help a lot.
All right, Mike, who are you two guys?
You know what? I definitely have to agree with James White. That selection is a pretty safe one if you're looking at guys, like Marv said, if you're in a
this show should just be the James White show.
This
show loves James White.
We love James White over here.
He's great. He's great. You know, the guy could have been a Super Bowl MVP, you know, against the Atlanta Falcons that year. But James White for sure is a safe bet in terms of you're looking for a guy who on the Patriots picks up a lot of receptions and gets yards and even can sprinkle in touchdowns here and there. James White is a very reliable running back for you. And you know how the running backs are for the Patriots over the last couple of years, whether it's James White or Shane Vereen or Woodhead that they had over the years. Guys like that, Brady really relies upon, and James White's been the one holding down that position for the last couple of seasons. But my second guy, we talked about this on a few shows ago. We believe this guy might not face suspension, and he could possibly be out there week one and be a weapon for Tom Brady, and that's Josh Gordon. If Josh Gordon is back week one, we already know Brady was working out with him, possibly, you know, getting him ready to start the season, get things kicked off. If Josh Gordon is ready to go, yes, Edelman is the number one option. We know that. But if you can't get Edelman and Josh Gordon's available, you saw what he did in limited action last year for the Patriots. I believe Josh Gordon would be a huge asset to a fantasy team. Maybe not as your number one wide receiver, but he can easily slide in as your number two or flex position if you have that. I see Josh Gordon, if he's healthy, if he's on the field, if he's not missing time due to any nonsense, he could be a huge piece to a fantasy team. So I'm going with James White and Josh Gordon.
Are you drafting Josh Gordon even if you are uncertain if he comes back?
Depends my draft position. Depends where I'm at in the draft.
If you're in round
So
8,
you
Josh Gordon's still there.
So you would consider Josh Gordon?
Depends where I'm drafting, yes. And what
That's
round
great.
I'm in.
That's awesome.
And what round I'm in.
Oh,
You like
man.
those Jedi mind tricks, Nick? I'm in that league with Marv too.
I'm going to pick Steven Gostkowski in round 1. Guys, the Red Sox have a little World Series rematch this week. They're off right now, which means I'm destroying Stranger Things. But the Red Sox have a World Series rematch right now. Wild season of Stranger Things. Stranger Things and James White show. Let's get this going.
I finished Stranger Things in one day.
I'm on episode 8 right now, but sorry to continue.
I haven't. I'm only halfway through. The Red Sox have a little World Series rematch as the Dodgers come to town this weekend. I'm going to be there Sunday night. Confidence high, willing to place a wager. I believe it's going to be David Price versus Clayton Kershaw on Sunday night for Sunday Night Baseball, which is going to be a solid-ass matchup. Don't know where to start. There's only one place to get in on all of this action. Grab the odds and allow the experts at betonline.ag to do the heavy lifting for you. Sports, live betting, virtual casino, you name it. BetOnline.ag is CLNS Media's preferred sportsbook online. If you are feeling lucky and would like to support our podcast, go to CLNSmedia.com and use promo code CLNS50 for that 50% sign-up bonus. That is CLNS50. BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. Go online or use your mobile phone to sign up today at betonline.ag and try in-game live betting where you can participate with all of the action with every single play. Use the promo code CLNS50 for a 50% sign-up bonus. BetOnline.ag, your online sports book experts. All right, my number one guy, and I actually get to keep him this year as a 10th round pick in my keeper league. We get one, Sony Michel. I'm very excited to see what Sony Michel is going to do this year. We saw him pick it up at the end. We saw him start to get some more trust in the offense. He was being used up on the line. I think he's going to be used on the goal line a lot more than he was this year because, again, we saw that near at the end of the year. My only concern is the knee issues that he's had through college that he's got right now, but he should be ready by training camp. I'm definitely going to pick Sony Michel. I think this kid's going to be a stud, at least for this year. And then my next guy, kind of opposite of James White, I'm going to go Damian Harris. Super excited to see what this kid's going to do. It kind of worries me for James White. I know James White has all the trust in the world in the offense, especially with Tom Brady. But Damian Harris, I've got a lot of love for. I think that this kid has a lot of potential, and I think he's got a lot of potential to perhaps not take James White's job per se, but take away some third down plays, or maybe stick him in the backfield with James White and give you two options there for Tom Brady, because we know Tom Brady loves the running back on third down to pass to. So maybe you got two guys there. I just think Damian Harris has a good chance to pop and to be a pretty solid fantasy pickup this year.
I like
so
Damian
now we're gonna
Harris.
I love Damian Harris. So now we're going to roll into a guy that we're going to stay away from. Let's kind of make this one quick because we do have one more question here in this segment. Who are we going to stay away from on the Patriots roster? Mike, we'll start with you.
See, Nick, I'm going the complete opposite direction with one of your pick. I'm actually maybe going to stay away from Sony Michel.
Oh,
I feel as if the Patriots, they're pretty stacked at the running back position. Not to say that Sony Michel isn't, per se the lead back for them, but Burkhead should be there and healthy. James White, we know what he brings to the table. And weeks ago, when we had the initial roundtable talking about the draft picks that we like, Damian Harris was the guy that I picked, and I said I was really a fan of and believed he can bring something to this team. Now, because of all these options, and we all know the Patriots rotate guys in and out at the drop of a dime with no hesitation. Sometimes you never know who's going to roll out there and get the certain amount of touches, get the certain amount of receptions game after game. It's really a toss-up for the Patriots week after week. So as much as, yes, Sony Michel really came into his own last season once his knee wasn't an issue anymore, something still has me shaky about, a power back picking up big yards, getting a lot of carries throughout the game. It's safe to touch those pass-catching running backs, but Sony Michel, I'm a little worried that he's not going to produce in the world of fantasy. He still might have a great season and put up solid numbers for the Patriots, but in the world of fantasy, I'm a little shaky on Sony Michel.
All right, Marv, who's your guy?
What did George Bush say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. You ain't gonna fool me again. That's Tom Brady. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Tom Brady, I am not touching in a redraft league, 10-man, 12-man, it don't matter. I'm not touching Tom Brady. I mean, look, the offense has changed. It's starting to become more of a balance, more running offense. And the decline of Gronkowski last year really affected Brady's numbers. You know, he wasn't throwing as much touchdowns as he was in the years past in his MVP year. So, and we saw a little more interceptions being thrown last year, although some of them were, you know, tipped and whatnot. Brady's still great, still, you know, top 5 quarterback, but fantasy wise, producing numbers, he's just not the quarterback I'm gonna pick, especially in fantasy where, you know, you have a lot of scrambling quarterbacks out there now that produce a lot more points with their feet than when they're throwing. And Brady, we all know, is one-dimensional. He's the reason why I didn't get too far where I needed to get to
you
last
too?
year.
Yeah.
So Tom Brady, unfortunately, I will not be looking his way when he's on the board.
All right, my guy's gonna be N'Keal Harry, and only
I like
because
that. That was gonna be my second one.
only because I think people are gonna be a little too in on this guy too early. Because we know the Patriots offense, we know Tom Brady especially. You have to gain this guy's trust, and with all the publicity around his draft pick, with people being so excited about him, I bet you if you look at like a little map of when N'Keal Harry was picked, he's gonna go not too high, but he's going to go relatively high in the New England area because I think a lot of people, again, especially people who don't watch it much, they keep hearing the name. They're going to think, oh, this kid's going to produce. Let me try to get him. Let me be sneaky. Let me get a guy who's going to produce maybe in the 5th, 6th round. I don't know if he's worth it anything higher than the 10th, 11th pick. I really don't.
Solid.
Only because, again, it takes a long time to gain Tom Brady's trust. Who knows? We've seen them practicing already again. Maybe they've already gained that trust, but I'm not going to trust that until I see production on the field from him, fantasy football wise. All right, Marv. So we're going to do this one really quick because we got to move on. You brought up Tom Brady. Fantasy Pros has Tom Brady ranked as the 21st quarterback in fantasy football's rankings going into this season. Is that bogus? Is that stupid? Or is that solid? Is that where he deserves? Or should he be lower? What do we think? Marv, we'll start with you since you slandered our boy Tom.
Hey, here we go. Here's the comments gonna come after me. But
Marv
21
hates Tom Brady. You should see what he says for the text.
Tom Brady is not the 21st ranked quarterback. I put him in the 13-15 range. Somewhere around there. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, yes, go grab.
You know who's ahead of him? Sorry, Josh Allen. Josh Allen's ahead of him.
Gosh.
I mean, you guys laugh, but Josh Allen puts up fantasy points because of his legs. Because of it, he's a horrible quarterback, but his
Jameis Winston barely has a job. He's ahead of him too.
Jameis Winston's a gunner. It's not about being.
It's the world of fantasy, man. It's the world of fantasy.
It's not about being great. It's about if you can throw numbers. Jameis Winston is going to try to throw for 300 plus yards a game. And right now, where the Brady's offense is at, it's not needed as much. Now, we saw last year, there was games that they won 14-9, and then there was games where they had to score 40 points against Kansas City, but they won't be facing Kansas City every single week. And you mentioned Sony Michel and the 3 running back system that they really like. So that's the reason why I think Brady's going to be low, but 21 is very disrespectful. Put him in the 13-15 range, 2-quarterback league, go get him.
All right, Mike, what do you think?
Top 15. Tom Brady is still a top 15 quarterback in the world of fantasy. Yes, he doesn't run like some of the other quarterbacks. Yes, he's not throwing for 300, 400 plus yards a lot of games, but in terms of not turning the ball over and you watching your fantasy numbers and see points getting taken away because of a stupid mistake with a fumble, a couple interceptions, you know, you got to have Tom Brady is still a top 15 fantasy quarterback for sure.
All right, yeah, I think we're all in agreement that 15 is about where he should be because, I mean, we've said it a million times now. They're going more run heavy now. They've got Damian Harris. They've got James White. They've got Sony Michel. So I think his numbers are definitely going to drop a little bit. He's getting older. I still think top 15, fine. 15 sounds about right, but 21. Like, I know Josh Allen, you just said he can move. I'm still not going to put Josh Allen ahead of Tom Brady until I see some more production out of that guy.